Economist has sounded the alarm as global prices set new records. Poor weather has sent the cost of food into uncharted territory, and high demand in Asia is depleting buffer stocks. Some prices are now higher than they were in 2008, when there were riots in several countries. But it's not just food prices that are hitting the roof. The spiralling cost of cotton and oil is pushing up manufacturing prices around the world. Our chief economics correspondent, Hugh Pym, reports on a global crisis in the making.
Food supply and demand is a truly global issue. So when flooding in Queensland damages wheat crops and sugarcane, that affects prices on world markets. Pakistan's floods have caused huge losses of crops, according to the government, so alternatives have to be found. And all that as Russia continues an export ban after a heatwave damaged harvests. Food prices are a problem again, and in official circles, alarm bells are ringing.
We have left ourselves with very little buffer, and therefore we need to expect, in fact, more volatile situation in the future, as people are fearing we don't have enough reserves, what about this and what about that. So any bad news is going to have more of its normal, let's say, impact on the market.
The UN's own index of global food prices rose rapidly for 2 years up to 2008, provoking food riots in many parts of the developing world. During the recession, the index fell back and then picked up a bit before stabilising in the middle of last year. But since last August, it's surged back and is now above where it was in 2008 at a record high. Over the last 5 months, cereals, including wheat, have gone up by 6%. Sugar prices have risen by more than 6%. Meanwhile, another commodity, cotton, is up by 15%. So what does that mean for UK consumers? Next warned today its prices would increase by 8%, partly because of the rising cost of cotton. This maternity and baby wear retailer is for now holding its retail prices, but the boss told me about the burden of higher costs charged by her suppliers.
We've already been swallowing them over the last 12 months, and we're going to do our best to continue along that vein for the foreseeable future. But if commodity prices do keep going up, of course, we will at some stage have to pass it on to the customer.
And then there's oil. Prices are now in a danger zone after steady rises, according to one industry expert. It all adds up to a big squeeze on consumers in leading economies.
Higher food and energy prices will sap world consumer incomes everywhere, and I think that could certainly have a significant effect, particularly in the rich world where growth is fragile.
The price of rice, critical for many developing countries, is more stable. One reason perhaps why food protests have not been repeated. But with global demand for food as strong as ever, and now threats to supply, the stakes are high for economies, both rich and poor. Hugh Pym, BBC News.
And our economic